Hello, everyone. But peace is fragile when greed and cruelty stand in its way. The wicked scheme of the wealthy Lady Wang tore me and CEO Toan apart, scattering our love like leaves in a storm. Where does love go when it is forced to let go? Does it fade into the shadows? Or does it hide, quietly waiting for the day fate brings it back? Somewhere in the silence between us, I still wonder, will destiny be kind enough to give us one more chance?
The rain poured down that night, blurring the streets with silver threads of water. Tu Diem stood alone under the dim streetlight, clutching the bouquet she had prepared for Toan. She had been waiting for this moment, her heart full of hope, her mind rehearsing the words she longed to say. But fate, as always, was not kind. Lady Huang, the elegant yet cold-hearted socialite, had been watching from the shadows for months. She wanted Toan for herself, not for love, but for the power and prestige that came with being the wife of one of the country's youngest and most respected CEOs. Tu Diem, with her quiet beauty and genuine heart, was an obstacle, and Lady Huang was not a woman who tolerated obstacles. The plan was simple, cruel, and flawless, with whispered lies and carefully staged scenes. She made it appear as though Tu Diem had betrayed Toan's trust. One photograph here, one fabricated message there, each poison drop slowly corroded the foundation of their love. Toan, proud and deeply wounded, could not bring himself to confront Tu Diem. Instead, he withdrew, letting the icy distance grow between them. Tu Diem never understood why the man who had once held her so close now turned away without a word. She only knew that one morning, she woke up to the sound of rain and Toan was gone. Years passed. Tu Diem rebuilt her life, but the memory of his gaze, warm, intense, and full of unspoken promises, still haunted her. Toan, behind his empire of glass towers and high-stakes deals, carried his own scars. He buried himself in work, yet every victory felt hollow. Then, fate began to stir once more. A chance encounter in a crowded charity gala brought them face to face again. The air between them was heavy with all that had been left unsaid. Tu Diem's eyes still held that same light, though now touched with sorrow. Toan's voice trembled when he spoke her name for the first time in years. But Lady Huang had not disappeared. Watching from across the room, she felt the first sting of fear that perhaps her perfect plan was unraveling. The question now hung in the air. Would love find its way back, or would the shadows of the past claim them once more? The gala hall sparkled with chandeliers, every crystal catching the light like fragments of frozen time. Tu Diem's breath caught in her throat as she faced Toan. In the years they had been apart, he had changed, his shoulders broader, his expression sharper, as though life had carved him from stone. But his eyes still carried the same depth that had once made her believe in forever. Tu Diem, Toan said softly, almost as if he feared the name would shatter if spoken too loudly. She forced a polite smile, her voice steady though her heart raced. "Ly Tu Diem." It's been a long time. Around them, laughter and music filled the air, but it all faded into a distant hum. Toan took a small step closer, his presence enveloping her like the scent of rain on a summer night. "I never thought I'd see you here," he admitted. You look the same." Tu Diem's lips curved into a faint smile, though her eyes betrayed a flicker of pain. "And you look untouchable." Before he could answer, a familiar voice slid into the space between them. "Ah, Toan," Lady Huang purred, placing a perfectly manicured hand on his arm. "I see you've met our charity's newest volunteer." Her words were honey, but her gaze at Tu Diem was a blade. The moment shattered. Toan's expression tightened. Tu Diem felt the chill return. Lady Huang's smile was perfect as always, yet Tu Diem caught the glint of warning in her eyes. It was the same look Huang had given her years ago, the silent promise that nothing good would come from crossing her path. The evening ended with polite farewells, but the encounter left ripples in both their hearts. That night, Toan sat alone in his study, the city lights stretching endlessly beyond the glass walls. He poured himself a glass of whiskey, but the burn in his throat was nothing compared to the ache in his chest. He remembered the day he walked away from Tu Diem, the fabricated photographs, the damning messages, the betrayal he thought he saw in her eyes. He had believed them because the pain of losing her seemed more bearable than the hope that she might still be his. But seeing her again, something didn't fit. Her gaze tonight had been open, unguarded. Could it be that he had been wrong all along? Far across the city, Tu Diem sat on her small balcony, listening to the rain. She thought of Toan's voice, the way it had trembled when he said her name. She wanted to ask why he had left, why he had believed the worst without giving her a chance to speak. But even now, she feared the answer. Somewhere in the darkness, Lady Huang was already setting her next move in motion. She had built her life on secrets and manipulation, and she would not allow Tu Diem to undo years of careful planning. But destiny, like love, has a way of slipping past even the most guarded walls. 2 weeks later, fate showed its hand. Tu Diem had just arrived at the headquarters of Aurora Foundation, the largest charity she had ever worked with. She had been invited to manage a new community project, an opportunity too good to refuse. But when she stepped into the boardroom, her breath caught. Toan was there. He sat at the head of the table, the morning light falling across his crisp suit and the quiet authority he carried like a second skin. His gaze lifted, locking on hers. For a moment, the entire room seemed to disappear. Miss Tu Diem will be leading the on-site operations, announced the project coordinator. CEO Toan will oversee funding and corporate partnerships. The words struck like a match. They were to work side by side. The first meeting was polite but tense. Toan kept his questions strictly professional. Tu Diem answered without letting emotion seep into her voice. Yet underneath the measured tone, every word carried the weight of the past. When the meeting ended, Toan approached her. Tu Diem, I didn't know you'd be part of this, he said quietly. Neither did I, she replied, her eyes unreadable. But we're both here for the same cause. Let's keep it that way. She walked away before he could answer, leaving him with a gnawing restlessness. He had faced boardroom rivals, hostile takeovers, and multi-million-dollar negotiations, but nothing unsettled him like the distance in her voice. Lady Huang soon heard the news. She was in her private salon, sipping imported tea when one of her sources delivered the update. Tu Diem and Toan working together. Her fingers tightened around the porcelain cup. This could not be allowed. The next day, an anonymous email arrived into Diem's inbox, a collection of edited photos and fake financial records suggesting that the charity funds had been mishandled. The sender claimed they came from inside Toan's company. The implication was clear. He was corrupt. Tu Diem stared at the screen, her chest tightening. She wanted to delete it, to pretend she hadn't seen it. But the wounds of the past still ached, and doubt began to creep in. Meanwhile, Toan was receiving his own poison, rumors that Tu Diem had been using her charity work to gain influence and wealth. The words were venomous, and although he wanted to dismiss them, the ghost of the betrayal he once believed and still lingered. Both of them found themselves teetering between trust and suspicion. One late evening, while reviewing project files, Tu Diem caught Toan watching her from across the office. His expression was unguarded, almost vulnerable. "You work too much," he said. "I could say the same about you," she replied, a small smile breaking through her defenses. For a moment, they shared something rare lightness, and in that instant, the walls they had built began, ever so slightly, to crack. Neither noticed the shadow lingering outside the glass doors. Lady Huang, dressed in her flawless designer coat, was already planning her next strike. Love is not always destroyed by the storms outside, but more often by the quiet, invisible poison of mistrust. In the story of Tu Diem and Toan, it was not distance or time that pulled them apart, it was the lies whispered by another, carefully planted to grow between their hearts. Lady Huang's scheme reminds us that jealousy can turn even the most beautiful intentions into weapons. Her actions were deliberate, but the real tragedy was that Toan and Tu Diem allowed her lies to take root without confronting each other. Silence became a wall, and pride became the lock on the door that could have led them back to each other. From them, we learn that love is not sustained by passion alone. It survives on trust, open communication, and the courage to face uncomfortable truths together. A single honest conversation, though difficult, might have saved them years of separation and heartache. We also see that fate can be both cruel and generous. It may take love away in a single moment, yet it can place the people in each other's path again when they least expect it. But fate only offers the opportunity. It is up to us to recognize it and to fight for it when it matters. In the end, the story of Tu Diem and Toan is a reminder to guard not only the ones we love, but also the truth between us. Because love, once broken by suspicion, is hard to mend, but if we choose trust over doubt, even the deepest wounds can heal.